Welcome to the Enterprise Thought Leadership Podcast, where we explore the latest in enterprise trends, tech, and strategy with the top leaders shaping the future.
Hi, we welcome you to our podcast On Stage with Enterprise Thought Leaders. My name is Kanika and I'm the managing editor of Enterprise Talk, which is our technology publication. It's also our flagship publication of the 6 that we have. We have engaging conversations like this one with global thought leaders and industry experts. They reach over 1.3 million business leaders worldwide. A new research exploring how IT leaders globally are adopting Agentic AI across the software development cycle has thrown up some very interesting facts. The key takeaway from the report is that Agentic AI is fast becoming a strategic priority for IT leaders. 93% of the software leaders that were spoken to are already developing or planning to develop their own custom AI agents. Over two-thirds highlight increased developer productivity and improved software quality as a result of adoption of Agentic AI. Today we speak with Woodson Martin. He is the CEO of OutSystems, the brand that worked on this research along with KPMG and CIODive. In our discussion with Woodson today, we will talk about what the new world that is speeding towards adopting Agentic AI will look like. But before that, a little bit about Woodson. He's a Chief Executive Officer of OutSystems, as I just said, and he's leading the company into its next chapter of AI-powered innovation and global growth. Most recently, Woodson served as an EVP and General Manager of Salesforce and AppExchange, the world's largest enterprise cloud marketplace. In this role, he led strategy and operations for a global ecosystem of ISVs and consulting partners, helping to accelerate innovation and drive growth across the Salesforce platform. During his tenure at Salesforce, he also served as a Chief Marketing Officer for the EMEA region, while based in London, where he's built regional teams and strategies. Earlier in his career, he held global marketing and product leadership roles at Business Objects, which has been acquired by SAP, a pioneer in business intelligence analytics software. Based in Paris, he played a key role in the company's global positioning and product strategy. And that was helping to drive adoption across a rapidly growing customer base in Europe, North America, and Asia Pacific. Did I miss anything, Woodson? Anything about you or about the company, if you want to tell us OutSystems?
Thanks, Kanika. As you run through that, of course, it makes me realize how fortunate I've been to be part of so many technology transformations, great technology companies, and really the opportunity to work with so many innovators in IT across so many industries and around the world. But I think you've probably covered what needs to be covered there. Thank you.
So I take this chance to welcome you to our podcast, which I didn't do earlier. It's great to have you here with us, and we feel really good that you could make time for this conversation. So my first question to you, Woodson, is OutSystems' area of expertise is the AI-powered app development market. What advantages do you see with AI tools in addition to the usual cost and time optimization, resource optimization? What other advantages do AI tools deliver in development?
Well, what I'm hearing from customers, what we're seeing today are a huge number of advantages, and they play out differently for different customers in different regions and with solving different challenges. But overall, we've been in the business at OutSystems for more than 2 decades of helping our customers, generally large enterprises, deliver on their custom software projects much faster, more reliably. And that's been core to our value proposition. AI makes it easier for us to help them do that even faster, even more reliably by adding really a layer of innovation that is impacting multiple phases of the process. So, one very consistent feedback I'm getting from CIOs, and I've been fortunate over the last 90 days. I've been almost with the company almost 90 days. And in that time, I think I've met with about 46 CIOs of major global companies in this role, which is just a huge privilege to get a pulse of what's happening in the world today. And some of the things I hear that they're really excited about, how AI is much more rapidly aiding the process of defining what they're trying to build. Most CIOs have a posture in their organization where they are there to help the business accelerate, to achieve its goals, whether that's growth, profitability, or otherwise, customer satisfaction. And they're oftentimes responding to requirements from the business that are coming in rapidly now, as so much is changing, whether that's, global tariff policies, challenges with, the global world order. And businesses are coming and saying, help, we need new tools, new systems, we need to move faster. But oftentimes what they get is a very vague set of requirements. And a big part of the process is trying to hone in on what really matters. What are the functional requirements? What are the non-functional requirements of the systems that they need to deliver? And with the advance of Gen AI, many of them are seeing a huge leap forward in just the time and also the ability for their business partners to answer those questions with much greater granularity and specificity, often in the self-service mode, by leveraging Gen AI tools that can actually rapidly build the prototype through a conversational experience. And, we've done this with a product capability in our platform we call Mentor, which is an AI agent that helps any user to build an initial prototype of an application based on a conversation, based on a prompt, and then allow you to take full advantage, of course, of our platform to adapt that to exactly your needs, and then, of course, to promote it into production when you're ready. But this is one key advantage that organizations are seeing, and it is not so much about the process of building as it is about the process of defining what should be built. And so that's a huge advantage that I've been running into with customers around the world. I would say, beyond that, and OutSystems has been in this game for a while, but AI and generative AI, but AI in general, have been huge contributors toward not just the build of software up front. We see a lot of new tools on the market today that help me from a prompt build a brand new app or a prototype of a brand new app. But through the life cycle of managing complex enterprise systems, there's a lot more than building that matters, right? And managing that full life cycle from the iterative development, the coordination of the work of multiple teams, both within IT and the business, the securing these applications and the infrastructures, ensuring that they are defended from all types of threats. We see a lot of that happening in the world today. The full life cycle of applications and the software development life cycle benefit from AI also. And, we think about that in terms of observability, watching what happens, and anticipating problems that can come up. What will happen in this application, design, in this application deployment when we hit Black Friday and our volume, for example, goes through the roof, or in the case of a denial of service attack or otherwise, and how can we be sure that we are proactively managing our applications and our portfolios in order to ensure that we're delivering what we set out to do, and we're able to continually contribute to the growth of the business and operate reliably and deliver for our partners. And that's really just some examples of how we're seeing AI play a key role in the life cycle of applications in the large enterprise.
So, but having said that, you will agree that AI is a double-edged sword. And what would your advice be to CIOs when deploying AI tools in enterprise processes?
I think, we look today and you ask organizations, are you using generative AI? Are you using AI for application generation today? And you get a big answer from everybody, 90% plus, depending on which research you look at, or say, absolutely yes. And then you say, are you deploying these things to production? And most of them are like, not yet. And so, that, depending on which research you want to look at, you get different answers for those numbers. And so there is a challenge for many organizations about getting the real benefit, not just in terms of learning, but in terms of tangible business results. And I think the big difference that I've seen in talking to our customers and CIOs in general starts with, are you beginning this work with experimentation intending to learn, or are you beginning this work with specific outcomes you're looking to achieve in your business? And I think the difference between those two scenarios is large when you look at what actually is translating into production and real business impact. And so I guess my first advice in dealing with that double-edged sword is the advice of know what you're trying to do. Which of the key measures in your business are you trying to influence with the work you're undertaking so that you can actually measure progress against that as you evaluate whether what you are creating is going to have the impact you need and going to address those goals, or if you are simply, effectively playing around. And that may be of benefit in some cases. If your goal is really to learn, then great. But if your goal is to move the needle on revenue or customer satisfaction or pace of innovation or the cost of total cost of ownership of your application portfolio or what have you, then I think you're in a better position to get a real outcome.
So now let's get specific on Agentic AI. It is the future of AI deployments, but it can't all be rosy. So what do you think, what would you advise CIOs to be ready for when adopting Agentic AI in specific?
A great question. So, at OutSystems, we are super excited about Agentic AI. We have announced just recently the OutSystems Agent Workbench, which is our capability that empowers CIOs to really take agentic systems into production very rapidly, leveraging all of the assets that they have in their portfolio today. So, we have thousands of customers. Those thousands of customers have hundreds of applications and APIs and databases and all kinds of valuable IT assets that they've deployed on our platform or that they've connected to our platform through our data fabric to, take advantage of their core enterprise systems on SAP or Salesforce or others, and then to innovate rapidly around those. And with Agent Workbench, we're now giving them the ability to turn those assets into agentic systems, leveraging any LLM of choice and bringing their own tokens and taking advantage of existing commercial relationships they may have with the LLM providers, but to do it in a platform way, in a consistent way across many applications, helping with that whole software lifecycle management and portfolio management challenge that every CIO feels today. But what we're seeing is enormous potential and already some amazing results. So some of these examples are very new. Some of these examples are companies who've not yet publicly announced their progress, but I'll tell you about a few use cases anyway. A home lender in India, actually, who has taken the mortgage origination process. That's the game of taking in the applications from consumers for a home loan, which, of course, if you've ever purchased a home, comes with a large number of documents attached, right? So your paycheck and your insurance policies and your bank statements, all of which are critical for evaluating eligibility for a loan, and which typically have been evaluated by underwriters, people, employees at the bank or through a BPO operation who open up the application, review every document to make notes and in many cases, type that stuff into a spreadsheet or an application to say, okay, does this lender or this borrower qualify? Who have using OutSystems and using our Agent Workbench have been able to turn that process into an entirely agentic system so that the work of opening the documents, of checking to see if they're the right kind of document, then another agent that opens the bank statement, that is a bank statement agent that says, okay, does this bank statement contribute to qualification or not? How do we score that along with all of the other criteria? And to do that for every type of application in the system, allowing them to go from managing hundreds of mortgage applications a week to tens of thousands of mortgage applications a week with the same resources. And today, more than 90% of those applications can flow through the process to the final step of approval without human interaction. And those that can't bump to a human who can engage with the customer quite frequently to say, looks like you didn't upload the right document, and so the work is often a very important customer relationship engagement that remains important, that the lender wants to be managed by a human interaction, but they're really able to focus much more of the resource on the human interaction than on the pure evaluation of the document. So that's the kind of example of what we see happening with agentic systems. What's been really interesting for us is to see the similarities between that use case, which is ultimately around a lot of document management and evaluation, and how similar that is to a lot of other use cases. So, last week I was in the UK and talking to an organization responsible for criminal prosecution. And they take in a new case from a prosecutor, and guess what? It's a lot of documents. One of the first steps is evaluate, are they all there, before you can even schedule the first steps in a prosecution. That kind of use case is super applicable across many, many industries. And that's one of the things that we're excited to see, is how much our customers can learn from one another, even across industries, about how rapidly they can accelerate their operations using our platform, but using these agentic systems to pull it together. So we're very excited. We've got a big user conference coming up at the end of September in Lisbon, where we'll have thousands of our customers together, telling the stories about what they're doing with Agent Workbench and with the OutSystems platform, and really helping each other to learn and accelerate.
That's very interesting. The bank which you mentioned in India, I think their business would have gone up many-fold after that, because the ability to process documents is what exactly holds us back.
In so many cases, there are core business processes in an industry that have historically consumed enormous amounts of human resource, where, AI, generative AI in general, have the opportunity to dramatically accelerate the work. And so it's obviously not just there, but we've got insurance companies doing consolidations of their global operations now, work that used to take more than 100 people keying data, manually checking calculations, now operating as entirely agentic systems, lights out, where nobody's had to even touch the system in months. So those are super exciting use cases that drive productivity and allow organizations to focus more of their effort on the work, the customer engagement, the experiences that drive differentiation in their business, and less on the rote tasks that are mundane and, frankly, really not much fun for humans to do in the first place.
So that's a big advantage. Now, the next few questions are going to be slightly generic and more focused on your experience in the industry, especially given the fact that you also work with ISVs, among other things. So over the last, I think, 10 years, we've been hearing digital transformation is really happening. It's really changing things. It's a buzzword, and nobody knows that better than us in the media. We keep referring to digital transformation as if it's a one thing and a one-time kind of a thing, which it is not. It's at so many various levels. It includes everything, including technology, change management, entire corporate structure, everything. And I'm sure you agree. But do you think, despite all of this hype, this transformation has been complete or even close to complete across countries in the world? Technology.
No.
Yes. So one more answer.
Easy question. No, I've had the chance in this role to visit a lot of customers in a lot of countries. I spent time in the last 2 months in Thailand, in Japan, here in the U.S. of course, across Europe, in France, and in the UK, and in Portugal. I would say digital transformation is very much a work in progress, and the challenges in different geographies, I'd say, are at different levels of maturity at an industry average level. But there is a lot of work left to do. And this is an exciting domain, for the business I'm operating today at OutSystems, because we really do help companies with large, legacy modernization challenges to execute on digital transformation strategies and bring their technology to the modern era. That remains huge. I've had, I think, 7 conversations in the last 2 weeks with CIOs who still maintain core systems that are written in COBOL, who are looking for an out, trying to figure out the path forward, who are asking the question about how generative AI can help. And there is a lot that generative AI can do to help in these legacy modernization projects. And so, there's everything from COBOL. There are, thousands of companies around the world trying to upgrade to SAP HANA, who have a portfolio of 100, 200, 300 connected applications. SAP is telling them, don't build those things on SAP. Use our core BAPI interfaces that come out of the box and build those connected applications off the platform. Keep the core clean. And so there's a huge legacy modernization opportunity there. Many of those connected systems can be replaced wholesale with agentic systems, don't even need user interfaces anymore. So that transformation is very much a work in progress. SAP delayed that for a couple of years, realizing how long it was going to take customers to move these portfolios. And it's part of their motivation for encouraging people to get that stuff out of the SAP core. So that's a major trend, I would say, that we see here. And then let's not forget about all the organizations who still have not digitized core processes. And there are many. And I think if you live in the Silicon Valley and operate here and can do every part of your life on a mobile app, you might think this is all over. But I don't know. IDC just did a survey that came back with the number that, it's a top, like, digital transformation remains among the top 4 priorities, of course, along with adoption of generative AI for CIOs across the world. And so I don't think it's over. I think it's in some ways just getting started.
And also because it is not only about technology. There are just so many aspects to it, which also includes the financial investments that many people want to or don't want to make. A lot
I think that's right.
Stick with the legacy.
We have a lot of customers who are in government, and there are a lot of places where regulatory frameworks, rules about how those entities operate, which are themselves, in some cases 40, 50 years old, are actively holding organizations back from modernization and from digital transformation, certainly from the adoption of AI. And so, I think there are many constraints. It's not purely just getting to it on the list. It's not just about having the available technology. Most organizations need help going through these kinds of transformations, which is why, our network of hundreds of business partners around the world, most of whom specialize in one form of consulting or another, right? Sometimes that consulting is management consulting. Sometimes that consulting is technology consulting. But that kind of a network, along with the technology, is really important for helping many of these customers both see the future, translate all the hype in the industry into a concrete vision for their own progress. And then, of course, the technology platforms come into play and the partners who can recommend and bring the best, and then also bring the best practices from similar companies and in similar industries or across industries to bear to help accelerate that work. But there's a lot left to do.
Yes, of course. Then one last question, and that is got to do with your tenure with Salesforce. About the same time as digital transformation became a buzzword, software as a service also landed as something very new, very unique, and it's not so new and unique anymore. It has completely changed the way enterprises plan, strategize, and produce. Do you see any challenges happening to this with Agentic AI coming in? How do they gel together?
Sure. I mean, I do think there are a lot of questions swirling in the industry about the future of SaaS. I have a portfolio at the company I'm running of hundreds of SaaS apps. Individual line of business managers over time have brought in a lot of SaaS applications to solve specific problems. It's been great. I think compared to history, it's been the fastest way to technically enable business transformation. And I think it's probably no longer the fastest way to do that. I think AI and the ability of AI to help us build exactly what we need in the enterprise is going to change the math. And here's some of the things that lead me to that conclusion. One, I know from my time at Salesforce, but also from my time operating businesses, that in general, customers use something like less than half of the capability of every one of these platforms that they buy, right? Most of the features sit on the shelf. We use a few parts that are important for us, but we don't use all the rest of it. And that's not like that's a huge problem, except that to get that, we're paying in the price we pay for the subscriptions and otherwise for the full cost of all of that, right? And then we think about all the systems that we've put in place, these SaaS applications, which have a lot of overlaps functionally, certainly in basic things like the user model. It's kind of the same users using all the stuff, but also other capabilities in the systems. Most of them have some place where we're doing a digital signature. So others have places where we're producing reports, right? And so there's a lot of overlap between these systems when we get into it functionally in the enterprise. And with the ability of AI and platforms like OutSystems today that support the development of custom software, we can quite easily imagine today an enterprise that operates without the overhead of half the software capability being unused. You just get what exactly you want. This is another story out of India, and there's just a lot of innovation happening in that country right now, which is why some of my stories are there. But here we have a partner working with a customer in the insurance industry who uses Salesforce to manage their leads, the new business acquisition, leads and opportunities and so forth for their sales organization. And this partner said, we can take your Salesforce implementation and just the things that you use, and by basically scanning the Salesforce environment using the metadata API, then using the resulting JSON structure, sorry to get a little technical, use that as a specification, give it to Mentor, the application generation agent in our platform, and build you a replica of just the capability you use from Salesforce into OutSystems, and they replaced their Salesforce implementation on OutSystems. So that's an interesting indicator. It's not like this is a widespread pattern today, but that partner is pretty excited about taking that same idea to other customers too. That's an indication, I think, of what just we can do with generative AI today, and how you can imagine in taking hundreds of SaaS applications you have in the enterprise today and turning them into one integrated system on a platform like OutSystems that addresses exactly your needs and can evolve rapidly with you with the assistance of AI. So I think that does create challenges. Now, don't count Mark Benioff out. Like, that's a very smart guy. And, been an incredible mentor to me. And I think he's doing a lot of very important work and innovation at the company today. And obviously, he's a great team there. They see all this. That's why they're investing so heavily also in agentic systems and Agentforce. And I think, we see this when we look across the industry for all the major SaaS platforms. Everybody's doing it. And we don't see a future where there's one agentic platform in an enterprise. I think every system in an enterprise will be agentic in its own right. And then there's an opportunity for orchestrating the work of those agents with other agents who really work across those systems. And that's something we're very excited about pursuing. And many of our customers are looking at OutSystems to play that role as the orchestrator of agents across the enterprise. They like the idea that we're a bit of a Switzerland in the SaaS world, right? Like, we don't have we're not just focused on a certain application type. We are a broad platform for enabling your vision for your agentic systems across the enterprise. And I think we have there's a game to play there, but it'll be very competitive for sure.
Those are the questions I had for you, Woodson. I hope we've covered everything that you wanted to speak about.
I just want to say thank you. It's a great pleasure to join the podcast. You've had some amazing guests here, and I've enjoyed listening to prior episodes.
That's nice. That's a good
And I do, encourage your listeners, to check out what we're doing in this space. Obviously, we're super excited about our upcoming One conference in Lisbon on September 30th and October 1st, and would encourage people to check that out. We're easy to find at OutSystems.com. And thank you very much for the chance to speak with your audience today.
Thank you, Woodson.
Thank you for joining us for the Enterprise Thought Leadership Podcast. Please do follow us on social media and subscribe for more ideas and insights. Until next time.